Hello there, you big dreaming woman. You are here. Yay! It's the She Means Business program that is formulated for female creative entrepreneurs to build their big dream and increase their income. And you are in the right place. I'm so excited to get stuck into this. We're going to get into it without further ado because I want you to win. So you can grab your notebook and pen if you want to. If you are taking notes on your device, you can do that. However you want to process this work and dive into this work, it is for you. Do it the way that feels good to you, okay? So we're going to dive into this. Module 1, here we go. So this module is all about building and developing a growth mindset. And the reality is that you have a growth mindset. You already are in that space and in that place. All this is to aid you and support you in keeping that strong, building that resilience. And as you step out and do more, be more, have more, your mindset is going to need that support, right? We're going to want to put certain things in place so that we are here for the long haul. So this module is all about building a growth mindset that serves your long-term elevation. It's about learning and applying expansive thought processes and transforming your thinking and setting you up for success, what you were born to have. So what does mindset mean to you, right? What is mindset to you? And just to say, you can pause this video at any time. You can come back to it at any time. This is yours now. So take your time with that. Wherever you need to stop and have a think, please do that. But what does mindset mean to you? It's important that you have your variation of it and your breakdown of it, and that you know for you, because this is about building your toolbox, right? So some will describe it as mental attitude that determines how you will interpret and respond to situations. Does that sound like that makes sense to you? You understand that? I like to call it the operating system in which you filter perceptions, decisions, and the ability to take action or not. Your mind is like an operating system. It's like a database. It's like a bank. It literally stores information, and it will throw thoughts at you sometimes, and it will try to protect you at times, and it will try to hold you back at times. But it can also be an amazing place of vision and imagination when we lock into what it is that we want, and it can take us forward. But we do need to get equipped with how to utilize the power of our mind so that we can keep moving forward. So why is this work important? Well, you may have heard of the universal law, cause and effect. There's something that happens that triggers something else. That is basically what that means, right? Every effect has a cause. Every effect, everything that has taken shape, that does take shape, that happens, is a result of something else. And so we really want to understand what our thought processes are causing, right? So when we think of thought, what effect does that have on our minds? What does that have on our bodies? What does that have on our dreams and where we want to go, right? So there is a universal law of cause and effect. This is something that no one can get away from. It is a principle and a standard that is in our world. So I want to take you on a bit of a journey here. Some of this is going to be knowledge and learning, and some of this is going to be prompts for you to be diving into the work. And I want to talk about the 7 levels of awareness, which is a process that was made by David Nagel, who is a mindset coach, right? And he talks about the 7 levels of awareness. And when we really understand this, we can then see where we're at and then move forward, right? You cannot change anything you are not aware needs changing. And so it is for us to understand where we are and be aware of that. And this is not about blame. This is not about putting ourselves down. This isn't about, guilt tripping ourselves or feeling guilty because we're not where we want to be. The whole reason why we are here on this journey together is because we're about to get to where we want to be, right? We know that there's more for us. And so this is just a doorway to awareness of where we are in order to take us to that next level. So I want to dive into the 7 levels of awareness. The first and bottom layer of this is the animal. That is survival mode. How many times have you been in that survival mode? You're just doing things to survive, whether that's physically, whether that's financially, whether that's relationally. You are in survival mode, right? And if we think about animals, they're here to do one thing, and that's survive, right? They're here to just live. They know what their purpose is, whether they're a squirrel getting nuts or you know what I mean, whatever the animal is, they live to survive. They do things to survive. They do not have creative capacity as such like human beings, right? Animals are beautiful. We love them, but they are literally living in survival mode. So that's the bottom layer of awareness. You know, if we're in that space, that's not going to feed us. That's not going to get us to thriving, right? So the next layer to this is mass consumption. It's following the majority. Now, if we think about this, we think about media, we think about all of these things, the news. If we're all watching the news and we're all following what the news says, or we're all watching this and we're all doing that and we're all going there. If we think about the pandemic, everybody went out and bought toilet roll. Some people didn't even know why, but they just started doing that because they're so used to following the majority, okay? The next step up from this is aspiration. This is when you become aware of a desire. You actually start listening to your heart. Can you see how quick that switches as well? From mass consumption to following the majority to even just generating an awareness of desire, an awareness that there is something else, something more, something that you want to do, right? And there is such a connection between desire and fear, right? There's something called the a conscious map. It's like a chart that shows us the degree of going from fear and guilt, which is the bottom, to enlightenment and peace and joy and happiness, right? Aspiration can so quickly dip into that mass consumption, and which is based in fear. We don't want to live from that place. We want to get connected to our desire. We don't want to fall any lower than that, right? So getting attuned to the desire and saying, I'm aspiring to something more. And then we step into the level of the individual. This is when you start to focus inwards and you become really conscious of your choices. It's when you're switching on your mind and you are paying attention to your thoughts and you're making choices based upon the desire that you have said that you want to achieve, right? And then the next step up from that is discipline. We're getting intentional and activating ourselves. We are doing this day in, day out. We're practicing this. We're becoming a disciple of the journey, a disciple of what that desire is, that want, you know, that thing, that purpose, that calling, that thing that was spoken into our hearts. We become a disciple moving towards that, and we're being intentional about where we're moving forward. The next layer to this is experience. And when you start walking it out, that's when you're building experience, and therefore you build confidence, right? Because competence, right? That is us doing it over and over again. We become competent to do a thing, and that builds confidence. And it even deepens your conviction, right? Because you start to understand that this is working. This is what is for me. And then the top layer is mastery. We step into a level of deep awareness, a deep awareness. We're connected to what it is that we're doing, and that what we want and what we desire. And therefore we become masters of the process, masters of ourselves, you know, taking care of our minds and what it is that we want to achieve. So if you think about your mindset, you think about your finances, you think about your faith, your health, and your relationships, if you were to put that on a piece of paper right now and you were to answer the question, where are you seated? So when you think about your mindset, are you in aspiration, right? Or are you in mass consumption? Are you following the majority? When you think about your finances, are you in survival mode? Are you following the majority? Everybody's investing in this thing, so you do that. Or you were taught to do this, or invest in here, or save your money, so you do that. Now, I'm not saying that saving money is bad. Let me just highlight that. All I'm saying is, are you aware of the decisions that you're making and why? When you think about your faith, are you in survival mode? Are you in mass consumption, following what the majority is? Or do you have your own relationship with God? When you think about your health, your relationships, where is that seated when it comes to that level of awareness? So I invite you to take that time and dive into that and really be honest with yourself. Remember, this isn't putting yourself down or making yourself feel bad. This is about awareness so that you can really take authority over your process. So let's talk about the subconscious mind, right? We have a subconscious mind and we have a conscious mind. So in our subconscious mind, we have around 45 thoughts per minute, okay? It's going and going, 45 thoughts per minute. I mean, you do the math. There is so much in there that we can be thinking subconsciously. In our conscious mind, we can process 1 to 5 thoughts at a time. And even that sometimes is overwhelming, right? Who gets overwhelming thoughts? So we know that in our subconscious mind, we're getting these 45 thoughts per minute. I think it works out to being 70,000 thoughts per day, right? In our subconscious mind. That is what's going on without you even processing, without you even paying attention. That is going on in the back of your mind, in the database of your mind. Remember that operating system is like a database that stores all of these thoughts. And this has been growing since you were a child, right? When you are born from 0 to 7, you have no subconscious mind, right? When you are a child and from when you're born to 7 years old, there's no subconscious mind. You are building that. That is why, as a child, we're so much more fearless. It's why we will try things over and over again. We haven't learned to fear. We haven't learned to fall down and stay down, right? Those are things we learn as we grow older. And so our minds develop. Our subconscious minds develop 0 to 7. We're learning from our parents. We're learning from our teachers. We're learning from our guardians, the people that are around us. We're picking up those habits and those traits, and we are learning how to live and what our belief systems are, right? Your conscious mind is processing that 1 to 5 thoughts at a time, and your database mind has got hundreds of thoughts, right, per day. So if we look at it this way, your subconscious mind develops into your emotional/feeling mind. Your conscious mind is your thinking mind. You can take authority and action in your thinking mind. You can deliberately think a thought, but there are certain things that come up in your subconscious mind and they provoke emotion, they provoke feeling. It is why you can go back into a childhood memory, or you can go back into something that even happened last week, albeit good or bad, and you can experience the same emotion and the same feeling in your body because your thoughts are connected in that deep way. It is the emotional and feeling mind. And then your body, like we just said, has the action, right? We feel it in it. There's an embodiment going on. And there is a famous book called The Body Keeps the Score. And there's some really, hard stories in there of how much can be settled into our bodies because of the experiences that we've had, and then the stories that we tell ourselves based on those experiences. We make things mean things. If you've gone through a process and you've gone through rejection, for instance, and then therefore you decide that every single piece of rejection or every single no is going to trigger that same rejection feeling, and therefore you're not going to go for things, you're not going to step out because you fear disappointment, that becomes a spiral, right? We can see how that tails off. But we have to we have to change the narrative. We have to reprogram our minds by getting into our thinking mind and then deeper into our subconscious mind and work out what our belief systems are and why we believe what we believe. So the state of your life can be determined by the state of your thinking. We all know the scripture, or some people might know it as a quote, "As a man thinketh, so is he." If you are thinking in a certain way, that is going to manifest in a certain way, right? How many times have you thought to yourself, this is not going to work out, I'm not going to be able to do this. And then before you know it, you've actually welcomed that in. If we can turn that into possibility, optimism, love, it's going to change the way that we show up, and we have to start with our mindset. So the way that we think initiates the way that we feel. The way that we feel initiates the decisions we make, and the decisions we make initiates the results that we get. And so if we want to change the results, we want to change the way we're thinking. If you want a particular result, Think about what you really think about that result. If you say you want to make 100K in a year, if you say you want to make 500K in a year, if you say you want to get a particular job role, if you say you want to launch something, like, what do you really think about that? Are you really in alignment with that? Are your belief systems absolutely in alignment with that? We really want to align our thoughts to what we say that we want. Your mind doesn't care about the nature of the seed you plant. Its job is to grow it. Now, so many times that there are things that get said to us or things that happen and they are planted in our mind. And then before we know it, there is a tree of all of these things that have come on account of that. How many times have you not stepped out into something because of the possibility of what might happen, right? It hasn't happened. It didn't happen before, but it could happen. And there is always a could, right? There's always that. There's always a possibility. But what if we thought about the possibility of your greatness, your awesomeness, your success? What if we dwelled on that so hard, so much, so deeply? Imagine what that would do to your mind, to your heart, to your business, to your life, to your family, right? Your mind's job is to protect you. It's hardwired that way. Your mind wants to keep you safe. And if you have lived a certain way for years, your mind is going to be like, any change feels like it's outside of your comfort zone. Therefore, why would we step out of that? Because if it's not broken, don't fix it. But the problem is your dreams are bigger than your current thinking state. So we need to shift the way that we're thinking in order for us to come into alignment with that big dream. So here are some things that protection can look like, what our mind does, right? It conjures up fear, resistance, overwhelm, imposter syndrome, procrastination, which is basically just fear as well, right? These are only some of those. I'm sure you can think of more. Our mind will scare us, give us scare tactics into staying put. It will make up excuses into staying put. And this is why I want to invite you to make a contract with yourself, make a decision with yourself that you're going to walk through this whole program. You're going to get through all these modules. You're not going to rush it. You're not going to scaremonger yourself into it. You're not going to do anything like that. You're going to lovingly walk yourself through this journey, right? Even when it feels uncomfortable and even when it feels like it's difficult or even when you're unsure, you're going to find the clarity by walking through the journey. So we really want to remove these so-called protective things. We think it's protection, but really it's fear in a mink coat, trying to pose as though it has got your back. So our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? I love this quote by Marianne Williamson. It's so true, right? Who are you not to be all of those things? Who are you not to get that big dream and bring that into fruition? Who are you not to make that money and do good things with it? Who are you not to be that change maker in your family? Who are you not to, right? God has made you with purpose and power, put you together, woven you, and you've got all of these whispers in your heart, which are desires for you to fulfill. So we want to shift out of the fear that makes us procrastinate, and let's take the fear that's attached to courage and let's move forward with that. Let's be courageous in our step into the next level. Challenge what you believe. Break limitations. As you start to pay attention to your thoughts, pay attention to your belief system, you are going to be able to break off limitations. Things that have stopped you, that you thought would stop you and hold you back, and maybe have done that for years, are going to crash and burn if you pay attention to what it is that you're believing. Ask yourself, why do I believe what I believe? Why is this the way that I am? Right? And it isn't about making yourself wrong. It's just understanding for a greater level of awareness. So let's get into a few questions here. And I invite you to take out your journal, pause this, and answer these questions. What are the beliefs that come up for you that you know do not serve you? The ones that are in the way, the ones that sabotage, or the ones that hold you back, even those little ones, right? The ones in the back. What are those belief systems that come up and you know that they are not serving you? How do you need to transform your mindset in order to accomplish your big dreams? Is it thinking more positively? Is it thinking more rounded? Is it looking further? Is it asking yourself why more? Right? Do you need to be just thinking bigger about you, about what it is that you want to produce? Do you need to be thinking better about yourself? So what are some of those things that you need to shift your mindset into in order to accomplish that big dream? So real quickly, I want you to just take this down and think about this, right? You get to decide who you want to be. Most of the world is living on this do, be, have motion. If I do this thing, I shall become this thing in order to have this thing. Or if I do this thing and have this thing, I shall become this thing. You are a human being, not a human doing or a human having. So I want you to ask yourself the question, who do you get to be in this moment in time as you step into this new chapter and you take forward, with meaning? You mean business. You mean business about yourself. You mean business about your business. You mean business about your creativity and who you are. Who do you get to be? And out of that being, what do you get to do? What steps do you get to take because of who you're becoming? And out of that doing, what do you get to have as a result of that? When you step out there and be the woman who God has called you to be and do the things that you want to do, what will you have as a result of that? And so I want to invite you to go on that journey, to dig in, and to know that you are worthy of your next level. Well done for accomplishing this module. This is your first module and one of the most powerful foundational modules. I'm going to see you in module 2.